Question, how do you identify legitimate continuous move? Is this the finish to the bell curve being not nice? I'm not quite sure I understand that question. And a legitimate continuous move is I'm looking for a pullback to an area that makes sense to me. 25 made sense to me. This clearly, price was being held. When price came back down and I got this scenario, this is when I most likely would have gone long, is when I had this scenario looking at this as holding. If price would have started coming down through strength at the bid again, 17.75, I would have canceled my trade and looked to get back in at 17 quarter long. But the question of how do you identify legitimate continuous move, what I'm looking for, and so great question, what I would do is I've got this volume profile going from down here, and I've included this swing high, swing low, swing high. So I've got really good data in this volume profile. And I can see 2050 as a low volume area. We bounced off of that. It's supported by this trend line. Everything is telling me that this auction, I can see it now, see it unfinished here. We're about to see more volume here at 23. Make sure we're getting, this is starting to re-engage, this auction up here. And so everything in this trade would have told me to continue to hold this trade. The only thing that would have said to get out of this trade now is to see a selling volume cluster and price start to move, you know, a selling volume cluster below this this trend line. And so this is how we start pulling the other pieces of OFA, which give us specific detailed information about the current auction. This is the most current context relative to a trade, and this is how we manage to profit and we manage our risk. And again, I fully expect this to start to re-engage, and the next level is 2450. So is some of this starting to make sense? I know that it's still a lot of information, but by going through some of this, can you see how I can identify levels for trade before the market begins? I can identify scenarios, right? If price starts going up, I can do this. If price starts going down, I can do this. And this is the evidence that I'm going to have that shows me price is going up or buyers are having influence on this market. As long as buyers are having influence on the market, then I'm looking for this, and I'm looking for a pullback, and I'm looking to get long as long as the print tells me to. And as long as the print and the volume profile and the other tools like the volume cluster and momentum continue to support my trade, then I can continue to take that trade into profit and towards my target. The scenario is playing out. As long as the scenario keeps playing out, I'm good with the trade, I'm good with the profit, and I don't need to be worried, I don't need to be concerned, especially if I've started to take profit already out of my trade and I'm in a position of I can't lose in the trade. And Ben, the whole purpose of today, like I said in the presentation, my goal is to move from information into knowledge. The only way of doing that is through repetition, and for me to continue to repeat the guiding principles, the fundamentals, the elements of the volume profile, and to show you scenarios. Talk through the auction. Okay, this happened. If this happens, what are we looking for? Can we see that confirmed in the print? Not yet. What's the print telling us? Well, it's telling us it's finished to the upside. Okay, if it's finished to the upside, and the scenario is we have buyers who are more effective than sellers, then we would look for a long on a pullback. Where's the most natural place to look for a long? Here's our next. So if price comes back down to this level and we get this scenario that plays out, we're going long, right? So the whole goal over the next 3 days is to take that information now and show you how the scenarios are created, and to go through how to think through and how to use this information, the information that is readily available through the print and through OFA, to make objective decisions. And when you get to that point, I'm telling you, the level of control that you will feel in your trading will increase dramatically. Doesn't mean you're always going to win, but when you lose, you're going to be going back to that level, and you're going to be saying, why did this happen? What's the scenario? What is my next trade? What am I looking for? If this, then that. Does that make sense? So you're looking at the print for a legitimate continuous move. Yes, not much at the volume profile, or both. Both. So what I'm looking for in the volume profile for evidence of a continual move is I'm looking for something other than this finish. Right now I got volume here at 23. These last three bars show me a little bit of a tailing off. The fact that this 23 is larger than 22.75, that tells me to a certain extent that sellers are still holding a little bit up here. So I need to see that change in the volume profile. And then relative to the other tools, I can see that this is going to come down a little bit more. Weakness up here. If price starts moving down, I got a neutral auction now. If I were to get a selling cluster, and this is developing, so it's not done yet. If this bar closes and I get a neutral auction or a selling cluster and price starts coming down, I'm just going to look to close that trade. The reality is I could see price come back all the way down to 20.75. And if it comes back down to 20.75, I can just get in if the print, or 20, I can just get back in if the print tells me to. But why give up that profit if I don't need to? So that's the whole goal of the next 2 days, is to keep going through these scenarios. I want to generate questions. I want you to ask me, why would you do that? What are you looking at? I want to make sure that I'm explaining, this is why I would do this. This is how I'm using these tools. And as I do that, we're going to go over and over and over and over and over again, these things. It will start transforming, and then through your homework, it'll start transforming your information into workable knowledge. How do I handle news releases? We're going to go through a whole workflow tomorrow. Do I wait a few minutes after significant releases before you take a position? There are often times when news comes out before the open. So I have a whole workflow that I use, and I'm going to show you the workflow tomorrow for news. Am I correct in noticing I don't need the OFA exhaustion indicator? I don't necessarily use the OFA exhaustion indicator. If I'm scalping, I definitely want the OFA exhaustion indicator, and I've got a couple that help me to scalp. And when the exhaustion indicator occurs with the right print setup, then I can effectively scalp using the OFA exhaustion indicator. For what we're trying to do here and look at overall context of a market and use the basic order flow and the supporting combination of volume, cluster, and momentum, I did not feel that was, I felt that, especially with the exhaustion bars I have, that it may give us some false signals. And in learning this, it has a tendency to, because it's defined by me, not by the market, it has a tendency to distract from the pure auction. And that's why I don't have it here. Hope that makes sense. Buying cluster versus selling cluster, that's just a term, but this is a neutral. What it means is that in this bar, this cluster, these three prices right here had the most volume for this bar, and the overall impact or effect of the auction was neutral relative to activity at the bid and activity at the offer. The overall result, here's where the most volume came in this bar. The overall result was mostly at the offer, which you may consider buying. Here, we got to wait for this next bar to start because this is still developing until we get, looks like we might get one here pretty quick. The overall result was activity at the bid, which is why I would look to close that trade. I hope that helps. By the way, my question seems to have just set up right now at 1923. Oh, relative to, yes, okay. So relative to the relative to continuation of a move. Hang on a second. Yeah, the one thing I would tell you is what I would really be looking for to hold this trade is I would have been looking for volume to start building at 23, 25, 23.50, and for this not to look so finished. When this starts to look finished and I get a print, you know, weak at the offer, strength at the bid, I have to take that for what it tells me, and I have to say the auction very well could be ending right here. I can't, you know, even though it looks like it was re-engaging, it told me that it ended pretty quickly. So I have to respect that. That's what I mean by trading objectively. If you take what the auction gives you as face value, as truth, you will be able to manage your trades very effectively, both into profit and for risk. I'm not really going to appreciate the question about the exhaustion indicator. I'm not really going to, maybe I can do a video on that, but I'm not really going to go through that here because it's really not part of the course in terms of setting the exhaustion indicator for scalping. I can show you how I would use this, you know, the volume profile. Like you can see the volume profile finishing up here. You get strength to the bid, weakness at the offer. That's a clear scalping opportunity. And you can see it's working pretty well right now. But not not necessarily the exhaustion. Can I show my VCA settings? Three. Responsive spread is 3, initiating spread is 5, color custom code. I show secondary levels. I don't show additional levels or period classification. And you'll get this template today, so you'll have that. Yep. Yeah, another course on scalping that could be beneficial, but you can use this to scalp too. All right, we have exceeded 3 hours. Is that right already? Oh my goodness. So I wanted to go through reviewing volume profiles. We talked about overnight volume profile, advantage of a session-specific volume profile. I showed you this morning by looking at, and I talked about it yesterday. I'm very interested in the morning. I look at my overnight 1-minute chart to see where volume is coming in, significant volume spikes. That volume spike showed me about 5:30 a.m. Central Time this morning that there was a strong contingent of buyers that stepped into the market, and even when price checked back down towards that level, they stepped back in. The fact that we were getting VPOC near a long-term low volume area told me that we were likely to get a lot of volatility at the open, and that could mean one of two things: price moving strong in one direction or moving very erratically up and down. But it was going to likely going to move hard and fast, either one of those scenarios. So I think I've showed you, and you'll get the templates for the different charts to build volume profiles for each of the session templates. We talked about building if-then scenarios. Tomorrow we're going to start actually looking at using a document to document our levels to build a daily trading plan. Talked about marking the opening swing. Tomorrow morning I'll go through the closing swing from today. And then Thursday and Friday we're going to get into executing the trade plan and if and when we need to deviate from a trade plan. So we're going to set a trade plan for the day. It's going to be if price goes higher than this, and this is where I'll look for a short as a test or a long on a pullback. If price goes down for the day, this is what I'm looking for price to do. Here are my areas of execution. If price goes down and these scenarios happen, then this is what I'm going to do. And once we have that trade plan set, then how to start reading the day to say, is this supporting this trade plan? Is this supporting this trade plan? Yes, yes, yes. For example, if we're looking for price to test higher and we're looking for short, then what we're looking for in the developing day is I don't want to see a really good profile distribution. I don't want to see an open drive to the upside. If we get an open drive to the upside, I want the volume profile to be really thin, and I want price to move really fast up to the level that I'm looking for test to for a short, and then I want to see the print happen. The volume profile will then support a potential great short. So what I'm looking at in the day time frame is what's going on in the market between buyers and sellers right now today supporting the trade plan that I created based on information from the previous activity of the buyers and sellers. Which data feed? I use the IQ feed, and then of course I have broker feed as well, which is CQG. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not sure if DB had to step out. If you're still here, I will, after I'm done here, and I think we're going to close up here, I've got in a very silly way, tore a muscle in my leg, and it's causing me some significant issues, and I need to see an orthopedic this afternoon, so I need to get going to that appointment. My calf looks like a bowling ball. Anyway, again, I will get the templates as well as, let me just show you the homework. You're going to get you are going to get the homework assignment for tonight, and he'll post that where he posted the test from yesterday as well. And then tomorrow, you're going to get this document, and we're going to actually start working through what data to pull, what data to use to start building an actual trade plan. So we're going to use this document. I can make it a Word document, doesn't matter. The important thing is that you get the information. How we take this information, do a volume profile analysis, and then create a trading plan. All right. So after I'm done here, I will get those to DB, and he'll get that out with the recording. You can use IQ Feed Client with your Kinetic login as well. Oh, good to know. DB, if you're there, do you have any things you want to end with? All right. I will go ahead and end this. We're a little over 3 hours for the day. Tomorrow we're going to start in the morning by developing a trade plan. We're going to do assessment of the overnight, and we're going to start building a trade plan for tomorrow, and then we're going to wait for the open. We're going to mark our open, and we're going to start looking at building scenarios as the day develops. Thank you, Peter. Good, good. Again, I know it's a lot of information, but my goal over the next 2 days is to keep showing you how to build these scenarios and execute. Can't tell you every trade's going to win, but I'm going to show you how to manage that and manage your risk successfully. Good. All right. Thank you all for sticking with me, asking the questions, and I look forward to tomorrow.